It's your favorite YouTuber, guys, DSLM Finance, financial educating you guys to freedom for the beginners by for the beginner every Sunday at 3 p.m. I've shown you guys how I filter from 1,000+ stocks down to just a serious handful amount of money-making stocks. I've even talked to you guys about what I think is going to happen around the corner with coronavirus and Brexit in the air, and why I think you need to get started investing ASAP. Links are down in the description box below, but what I haven't talked about with you guys is the 3 financial documents you need to understand before you start investing in stocks. Simple as. And so over the next few stock videos, I'm going to be doing just that with you guys. I'm going to be talking about the income statement, the cash flow statement, and this week starting off with a balance sheet. How do you read it? Simply, what to look for, what to look out for, and things along this nature. You guys need to understand fully. But just to give you a heads up, you're going to need to bring your calculators with you too, because there are some formulas that I use that help me as a guideline to understand how financially healthy a stock is. And I'm going to be telling you guys all this juicy information in these videos. Leave a like down below, share this video, and subscribe and notification bell on if you haven't done so already. First off, let me actually explain what a balance sheet represents, because a lot of people don't understand. But what it is simply a comparison. It's a comparison between the assets, the things that generate more money for that stock, and the liabilities, the things that lose, that take out money out of that stock. And in those 2 categories, you also have 2 subheadings. But I'm going to show you guys that with National Grid's balance sheet right now. Those 2 subheadings that you get are both the current, i.e. short-term assets and liabilities, and their non-current, i.e. long-term counterparts. The total equity at the end of the document refers to the total assets minus the total liabilities. And from an investor's point of view, you always want to be absolutely positive and well above the line, because it shows you in the grand scheme of things that the company is making more money than is costing them, which is so important. Unfortunately, getting your balance sheet right is not as simple as just making sure your total equity is positive. There are guidelines, there are rules and effectively rules of thumbs that I use that help me judge how healthy that stock is just from the balance sheet alone. One of the things I look out for is the term called Goodwill and/or intangible assets. Sometimes these terms are bunched together and other times they're completely separate. Either case, I will be wary if you see these terms in a balance sheet you're looking at. For those of you that don't know, the term Goodwill actually means kind of like brand value. So it's the public's perspective of that stock. And I agree with you guys that this should be absolutely positive for the company to make money. It's mandatory. But what I don't agree with is the fact that it has such a huge influence on the balance sheet. And the messed up part is that there's no financial body that's neutral to all stocks that chooses this amount. No, it's the actual company itself. So they pick their own numbers, and you tend to find that they fudge their numbers to make it seem like the stock's a good stock to invest in. I honestly can't tell you guys how many times I've read a stock's balance sheet and I've seen that when you take the Goodwill out of the equation by subtracting it from the total assets, and it produces such a low total equity amount afterwards, with some cases even leading to a negative total equity, meaning the stock is owing more than it is making. Even when you do it in this case, the true total equity ends up being 40% less than what is originally presented. This is why I say, guys, you need to watch out for these terms specifically. And to determine whether a balance sheet is good or not, there's basically a formula I like to use, guys, and it's basically your cash and cash equivalents plus your short-term and long-term investments minus by short-term and long-term debt/borrowing. All of that divided by your cash and cash equivalents. I like that number to be comfortably above 3. And what this formula represents is that you shouldn't be investing in a stock that doesn't have enough cash and investments to cover its debt/borrowing at least a few times over, which makes a lot of sense. So when you use this formula with the figures in the National Grid balance, you get the following. It gives you a value of minus 372, which is astronomical. But it's worth saying with stocks like National Grid, you're gonna be bound to get those sort of numbers. You know, mining stocks, petroleum stocks, heavy industrial stocks, because a lot of their asset, a lot of the things that bring money for that stock comes from the machinery and equipment that they use. So just be wary of that as well, guys. But in general, that's how I look at my balance sheet. That's what I use to determine whether the balance sheet is good or not, as well as the total equity obviously being positive. And now you guys know what to look for too, but also make sure to watch out for my next stock video, where I'll be talking about another financial document and how I read it basically. So stay tuned for that as well. Leave a like down below, share this video, and subscribe and notification bell on if you haven't done so already. It's your favorite YouTuber, guys. DS Learn Finance, Financial Educating you guys to freedom. For the beginners, by from the beginner, every Sunday at 3 p.m. by DS Learning Finance.
Whoa.